Shemini, the third Aliyah. The following Aliyah is probably the saddest Aliyah in all of Sha'are Tikva. When the two sons of Aaron, Kohen, Nadav, Abihu, Tzadikim, Gedolei Ador, were taken on that day. The Gemara says, Masechet Megillah, Daf Yud Amud Bet, Oto hayom haya simcha lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu ki yom shenivru bo shamayim va'aretz. That day of the 8th day of the Miluim that we've been discussing in the past two Aliyot, that day is the first day that the children of Aaron and Kohen, became Kohanim and they serviced in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan at that time. And during the whole jubilation and the simcha that was going on that day, and Oto hayom haya simcha lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu ki yom shenivru bo shamayim va'aretz. That was just the simcha on that day was like the day of creation. And in the midst of all this happiness, all of a sudden a disaster strikes Am Yisrael, and the two Gedolei Ador, Nadav and Abihu, were taken from amongst Am Yisrael. And Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, Daf Nun Bet Amud Aleph, writes, Shnei chutin shel esh. This is an explanation of how they died. Shnei chutin shel esh, two chutim, two strings of fire, Yatzumi Bet Kodesh HaKodashim, came out from the Kodesh HaKodashim, v'nichlak la'arba. So the two strings that come out split into two. Each one splits into two, 4 strings altogether. Now, Shnei chutin shel esh, 2 strings of fire splitting into 2, each one splitting into 2, basically 4. V'nichlaku la'arba'a, v'nichnesu Shnayim chotamo shel zeh, v'Shnayim chotamo shel zeh. 2 of them went into the nostrils of Nadav, and 2 in the nostrils of Abihu, and they burnt the insides of them. So throughout this whole tremendous happiness that was going, all of a sudden brightness of day turned into the darkness of nights. That was the death of Nadav and Abihu. The pasuk says, "Vayikhu bnei Aaron Nadav Abihu ish machtato." In other words, what was the reason for their death? So there are many midrashim in explanation of the following pasuk that we're about to read, why they died. Pasuk writes, pasuk Yud, Mechila, Perek Yud, pasuk Aleph. ויקחו בני אהרון נדב ואביהו איש מחתתו ויתנו בהן אש וישימו עליה קטורת ויקריבו לפני אדוני אש זרה. They brought a strange fire אשר לא ציווה אותם. It was a strange fire that they brought. The Gemara says in מסכת עירובין on דף סמך ג' עמוד א', רבי אליעזר אומר לא מתו בני אהרון עד שהורו הלכה לפני רבן. The cause of their death was because they were מורי הלכה. They said a halachic decision in front of the Rabbi, in front of the Rabbi Moshe, the Moshe Rabban. Amru afal pi she'esh yoredet min hashamayim. What was the halacha that they said? They said that even though there's a fire coming down from Shamayim, like we learned yesterday, that there were the 10 crowns, and one of them was Rishon Horadat HaEsh. It was when the fire came down from Shamayim. They said no. Not only that, it's not enough. Mitzvah lehavi min ha'edyot. It's a mitzvah for us down here to also light the fire. So when it says that they burned Esh Zara, Shelo Tzivah Hashem, what's this strange fire that we're referring to? We're referring to the strange fire that was lit down here by them. Instead of just allowing the fire from Shamayim to come down and saying that's enough, they said no, we need to light a fire down here also. And anybody who basically renders a halachic decision in front of his Rabbi is chayav mitah. That's the first explanation. Second explanation, another explanation, in other words, brought, is what she brings as well. Rabbi Ishmael Omer, Shetuye yain nichnesu lamikdash. They came to the Beit HaMikdash intoxicated. Katuv miyad acharav, as we see later on, right afterwards, it says in the pasuk, yain v'shechar al tesht atau banecha. That's a direct, also, continuation of what really caused the death of Nadav and Abihu, saying that a Kohen, while worshipping the Beit HaMikdash, is asur for him to be intoxicated. He can't drink wine. Not yain, not shechar, al tesht atau banecha, bevoachem elo el moed, velo tamutu. Chukat olam dorotam. For the fact that it says velo tamutu, if you don't drink, so you won't die. Mashma, that if you do drink, and you come into the Beit HaMikdash intoxicated, and you service Navodah in the Beit HaMikdash, you'll be chayav mitah. That's the second explanation. The third one is that she says in Parashat Ekev, just like we explained in the first Aliyah, that Aaron HaKohen actually needed a kapara for the Chet HaEgel, which he had a hand in. So she says, he's mashma, over Parashat Ekev, that it was actually a punishment to Aaron HaKohen for the Chet HaEgel that Aaron had a hand in. And that's why his two sons died. In other words, they died because of what they did. But why should Aaron get punished? Answer is, he also needed to get punished over here for having a hand in the Chet HaEgel. That's mashma from Rashi in Parashat Ekev. There are many other explanations brought in the Midrashim. However, the last one that we'll bring is from the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. Orach Chaim HaKadosh says like this. He says, "Shnitkarvu lifnei or ha'elyon bechibat hakodesh." He says that Nadav and Abihu, they're great tzaddikim. What caused their death? What caused their death was that they were nidabek. They connected themselves to the Or ha'elyon, the high light of Hashem. Bechibat hakodesh ubazeh metu. V'hu sod ha'neshika sheba metim hatzaddikim. They basically had such a yearning to Hashem, and they went and they connected themselves to Hashem, and they died b'sod ha'neshika. Basically, a kiss. They were kissed by Hashem, and that's how they died. Sheba metim hatzaddikim. So they died just like the tzaddikim died with mitat neshika. But they were even greater than the mitat tzaddikim neshika. V'hine hem shavim mitat kol hatzaddikim. Ela sha'efreshu. Yes, they're similar to the tzaddikim and equal to the tzaddikim that they died mitat neshika just like the tzaddikim. However, ela sha'efreshu. The difference between them is sha'tzaddikim aneshika mitkarevet lahem. The neshika comes to them. They don't go to the kiss. The kiss comes to them. In other words, they still want to live, so to say, in Olam Hazeh. But when the time comes, they're kissed and they die. However, ve'elu hem nitkarvu la. They decided that they're going to get the kiss. They're not going to wait for the kiss to come to them. They had such a chukah, such a yearning to Hashem that they couldn't wait, and they just went to get the kiss. They yamutu lifnei Hashem. Shagam shayu magishim mitatam, even though they knew they're going to die. Lo nimne'u mikarov ledvekut. נעימות עליבות ידידות, חביבות, חשיקות, מתיקות, עד קלות נפשותם. They couldn't, it was the sweetness and the belovedness that they had to Hashem, and the cheshek and the chesh that they had, and the sweetness to get close to Hashem, they couldn't. They just had to do it even though they knew they were going to die. They went to the kiss. That was the dvekut that Nadav and Abihu had. And through that dvekut, they passed away. So in other words, it's not the Chaz v'Shalom we're putting Nadav and Abihu down, that Chaz v'Shalom, opposite. We're actually praising them. They were the Mitzat Tzadikim, they were greater, they were like Aharon and Moshe, greater than Aharon and Moshe. They were the Gedol Hador. So the Dvekut, what caused them to die actually was the connection that they had, and the Dvekut that they had to Hashem, the Neshama got so connected to Hashem that their souls, their Neshamot were separated from the bodies and connected to the Or HaElyon, connected themselves to Hashem.